Sweet, you ready to start? Yay, all right. Find the center of your paper crowns. Right above center, we're going to start by dropping in a nice light circle. I'm keeping mine light, nice and light and loose, putting down lots of lines until I'm confident with my shape. But right here with our circle, we're going to drop in what is called construction lines. Right from the very top, I'm going to go through the middle and all the way down towards the bottom of my page, creating one big lollipop. With my first construction line, we're going to go ahead and jump in here towards that middle, but go about 60% down on our circle to drop in a flat guideline. This is going to help us to build up and anchor in Sally's features, and we'll do that later on. Right now, I'm going to jump back up here on the bottom of my circle. We're going to actually start building up Sally's chin. Sally, her character design is pretty simple. Here in the world of Halloweentime, the characters are spooky, but also quite friendly as well. They even say it in their intro song, we are scary but not mean. And I think that's something that I really love about Halloweentime. So for Sally's face, her feature is going to be a nice curved V. I'm following my original silhouette in my circle and just bringing down from there a nice soft curved out V. And with that, that's all we have to add for the rest of the silhouette of Miss Sally's round face. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into my drawing and do what I was talking about earlier, blocking in. I'm going to find the lines that I like the most for my original circle and choose my favorite and lock those ones down. If you didn't like any of those original lines you drew, go ahead and make some new ones. That's the beauty of drawing lightly and sketching. And here in GCA, it's the only place you can be sketchy, so have fun with it. But once you go and lock it down, just go back and forth. Put a little bit more pressure on your pencil and allow that line to stand nice and bold. With Sally's silhouette though, I'm actually going to want to finish the rest of the base of her drawing, and then we'll jump back up here and put in her features in her face. So we're going to go ahead and build up Sally's neck. Right underneath her chin here, nice and lightly, I'm going to bring down this really long straight line on both sides. But her neck does flare out into a nice little J curve here at the bottom because it stretches all the way down into her shoulders. So I'm keeping my lines light here because she actually has a really awesome outfit on top of this. We're going to go ahead and draw in Sally's, her shirt. We're going to start with her collar by wrapping around these two candy cane curves, going from the right side of her neck and dropping down to that center guideline and breathing in a nice candy cane J. And right on my left side, we're going to do the same thing, but end it a little bit shorter here, right by my center guideline, allowing the right side of her collar to lay in front of the left side. Now, since we understand that her shirt sits on top of her shoulders, we're just going to stretch down these half flattened out U's right on top of where her shoulders would be. Now, this way, I'm going to go ahead and lock it in. And Sally, I was talking about how she is a seamstress. She's designed almost to be like Mr. Frankenstein's housewife, basically, which is kind of crazy. But she knows how to make her own clothing, sew up her arm if she wants to go escape out the window. She's pretty awesome. And something that's awesome about her clothing is the fun patterns that lays within it. Over here on our left side, her pattern on her shirt is going to be these messy line work. And when I mean messy, I really mean messy. So have fun with those silly lines. I'm actually going to show you who this character is designed by. Tim Burton. And if you're feeling like your lines are a little fresh, a little funky, you are accurate because that is exactly how Tim Burton designs his characters. Here, Sally looks a little, crazy. And we're drawing Sally in the movie version, but this is how Tim Burton stylized all of his cartoon work. So go ahead and have fun with your line work if you want to. Over on the right side, just like that big mountain that Jack stands on in the film, we're going to do these little spirals that look like little cinnamon rolls here on the right side of his shirt. Now, we want to just place in these two small dark little lines right where our shirts connect to show she sewed them together. And just like that, now we're good to go back on into our neck and lock down our line work here, because we understand that it's sitting in the foreground now. Inside of Sally's neck, we do see a few little stitch markings too. So we're going to just drop down a nice U, flatten that U here towards the base of our neck. Another U that swoops out and through the center, and one right here in the middle. And go ahead and add as many stitches as you want there. But this movie is really beautiful, right? We know that Tim Burton is the lead designer and the person who designed the poem that this movie is based off of, The Nightmare Before Christmas, but it was actually directed by someone other than Tim Burton. A lot of people believe he was the director, but Henry Selick actually was. And I know that name might sound familiar to some of you, so I'll let you know what some films he's done. He's worked on Coraline. Has anyone seen that? He was the director for that film, James and the Giant Peach. So a lot of people don't even realize that that was all by Henry Selick. We're going to go ahead and round out the rest of our hair here for Sally. I'm jumping up to my silhouette on the very top of my head, placing a tiny little number 1. And we're going to go ahead and go right around our forehead here and just match that same big rainbow shape. Sally's hair is made out of yarn, right? So it's pretty dense, it's pretty heavy. So we don't want to add too much volume here. Go ahead and just follow that same big rainbow shape on both sides and bring it all the way down to that guideline. This way, once it sits here, we're just going to swoop down towards our shoulders, extending out our line, and at the very end, we're going to place it out to a nice little J to show that it would lay on our shoulders. But this movie, I want to talk a little bit more about it. Henry Selick was entrusted by Tim Burton to make sure his characters came to life correctly. At the time, Tim Burton was working on a different feature film. It's about a bat and a man, and he's returning. And it came out in 1992, Batman Returns. But he was really busy on that film, so they needed a different director. And Henry Selick went to Cal Arts, which is an art school with Tim Burton. And so Tim Burton already knew Henry and trusted him to create the film that he saw with intent. And when Disney was watching the design of these characters start to come to life, Disney got really worried. They were like, wait guys, this is kind of scary. This movie has a lot of depth to it, and the characters don't have eyes. The main characters here, Jack, Zero, Oogie Boogie, none of them have eyes. So they were nervous that the audience was going to become scared or wouldn't connect. But Henry and Tim were like, no, we got to keep the eyes out. Only sockets. They're dead. Honestly, they're dead. So why would we put eyeballs? And so Henry really pushed through for the vision of what Tim Burton wanted. And he's a great creative director here. So to show off more of our character design, we're going to go ahead and jump into the center of the face and wake up Miss Sally. We're going to start by anchoring in her nose like a little arrow here towards my center guideline underneath that flat horizontal one. We're going to match those two little lines together with a flat line on the bottom. And something that's really beautiful about Sally's character design is that she is really asymmetric, okay? Which means she doesn't really have a lot of symmetry to her. A lot of parts of her are a little tipsy, a little turvy, but that's because she was literally sewn together. So, right underneath her nice nose, we're going to jump down here where our sketchy circle lines are. We're going to follow that curve and put in a nice big U shape. This is going to be the start of Sally's smile. I'm going to make sure my U sits a little bit higher on my right side here, extending it upwards towards that guideline. And I'm allowing the side on the left to stay a little bit lower. Right now this looks a little creepy here for the smile, but it actually is the little line where her lips lay on. So to really show that asymmetry here, on the middle guideline, I'm going to start by bringing up a nice arrow, but I'm going to extend the right side of her top lip further up on the right side of my big U we just drew. In her bottom, nice little U here, show that bottom lip, it's going to be ever so slightly over to the left. And I'm going to go ahead and lock this part of her lip in, just like I did her nose. I'm going to go ahead and also shade in these lips too. So now on her smile line, just like those stitch markings we did on her neck, go ahead and drop in a few little stitches there as well. And with that, it leaves us with her eyeballs. And Sally's eye design almost looks like the princesses we see here in the park. She has these huge, nice round almond eyes, which a lot of our ladies here have as well. And that is because her character is seen as our hero almost. Jack, we don't really think Jack in The Nightmare Before Christmas is necessarily a villain, but in the end he actually is. He did steal Christmas and he ruined that holiday, but we don't call him a crazy villain because at the end of the day he still tried to save it and just wanted to figure out his midlife crisis. So, we're going to go ahead and wake up Sally with her eyes. We're going to place these flat U's right on our guideline here. To show up those almond eyes, I'm extending up a nice big parenthesis here on the outer edge of her silhouette, and I'm going to bring up another parenthesis on my right side too. This way, to see the rest of her eye shape, we're just going to follow that line through up and over, landing a nice deep rainbow here in that center point. You want to go ahead and do the same on the right side, mirroring it the best you can. That's something that's fun with her design work. Just like I said, she's asymmetric. We're going to see that asymmetry come to life with her eyelashes. Ooh. She has yarn eyelashes, just like her hair. And you can go ahead and make that top lid a little bit thicker, showing off that little liner that she has on the top of her eyes. And once you do that, to show off her lashes, it's going to be little flicks of our pencil here. I'm going to start on my left one, bringing up these V's. Here, 3 of them on the top of her eyelid. And we want to show them off as V's because they're yarn that are sewn together on the top of her lids. And this movie is made from stop motion animation. And for my friends who don't know what that is, these are real life little sculptures of characters in a real life set. And these animators go one at a time, moving these dolls ever so slowly. So during the production, it actually took a whole week to produce 70 seconds of film for this movie. So every time these dolls moved, it took a lot of effort for these artists. We're going to go ahead and show one more scar here on Sally's face, right underneath her left eye, bringing out the small parenthesis. And I'm extending this parenthesis all the way onto her forehead here. Just like her lips, go ahead and add a few little markings. And to just kind of finish off of our Sally for her hair, go ahead and add some little lines here at the back of her neck, just to show off some texture. And if you want to show some texture too in the front section of her hair, you can place these flat little U's to show that the yarn is falling downwards. But anything else you add here onto your Sally, it's going to be extra credit. But the last thing any artist needs is a signature. So somewhere on your page, my friends, sign your work as you all just made your own Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas.